apologize for the slight delay to do our service. Thank you for your understanding.
If people were trying to, learn from me because they wanted to be professional Magic players, that dream is dead.
The Regional Championship in Denver is a national tournament that will draw 1,000 of the best American players. The tournament will pay out $130,000 in prize money, but even more importantly, the top 32 players will get an invite to the Magic Pro Tour.
My stomach is very hungry.
So I'm here now in my hotel room. I picked up my badge for the RC, so we're good to go for tomorrow. Now I just have to sleeve the rest of my deck, maybe post a couple videos tonight, and then get a good night's sleep because day one of the tournament starts tomorrow at 9 a.m. So I have all of these sleeves, and these are going to be fresh new sleeves to put on my deck, because you want sleeves that have absolutely no indentations or marks on them when you're playing in competitive REL. Otherwise, you could be accused of cheating by having differentiations between what the backs of your cards look like. However, tonight I just found out that these sleeves actually do not fit my cards, and that is because somehow I got the Japanese size of sleeves. So I did not actually buy sleeves that would fit my deck, and now I have all these sleeves that are not doing anything for me, and it's 7 p.m. on Friday, and I have to find some fresh sleeves for the tournament that starts at 9 a.m. tomorrow. So I figured out my sleeve issue. The sleeves I already had ended up being fine. I had 75 that don't have indentations on them, and 75 is all I need. So I'm going to be using those. I don't think I'll get called on by a judge or anything. Game 1, my opponent was on the play. He dropped a swamp and passed the turn to me. I drew my card for turn and played a fetch land, then passed it back. He dropped an Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth. Then I went to crack my fetch land. In response, he tapped 2 mana and cast a Shadow of Doubt, killing my land and drawing a card. Over the course of the game, he would cast 2 more Shadow of Doubt, getting my lands both times. I was totally blindsided by these last 2 because he only had 3 copies in his 80 card deck. In game 2, it was much closer, but he ultimately outplayed me and took the match down 2-0. Round 2, I had a grueling 3-game match against Orzhov Death and Taxes that ultimately ended in a draw. Round 3, I played the Teamer Rhinos mirror match and got outwitted by a more seasoned opponent, losing the match 0-2. At this point, I had no more losses to give. In round 4, I was pitted against Cabal Coffers once again, but this time I was playing against the more standard 60 card variant. We played an epic 3-game match. My opponent would have the One Ring, but I had a Tidebinder. I would resolve a violent outburst, but my opponent had 2 removal spells. But ultimately, I had 1 Rhino too many, and I took down game 3 to secure myself my first victory of the tournament. At this point, I had played against Death and Taxes, Teamer Rhinos, and Cabal Coffers twice. I was 1, 2, and 1, and I would have to rattle off 5 wins in a row if I wanted to make day 2 and have any chance of qualifying for the Pro Tour. In round 5, I was paired against Living End, one of my worst matchups. In game 1, my opponent was on the play and quickly combo killed me out of the game. But for game 2, I was prepared with 4 endurance in my sideboard. We both kept 7-card hands, but on my turn 4, my opponent cast a violent outburst in my upkeep. I cast a mystical dispute to counter, and they cast a force of negation to counter back. The game was over, the match was over, my tournament was over.
I know that things are not stacked in my favor right now because I live very far, and without these mechanisms, it's going to be very hard for me to dedicate my life towards something that is so uncertain.
I was knocked out of the regional championship, but on Sunday, there was another, smaller tournament that could still qualify me for the next RC in Dallas, Texas. That RC would be happening a few months from now. While I went off to play in my side tournament, those who made it to day 2 of the regional championship would still be fighting for 32 Pro Tour invites, 2 World Championship invites, and the grand prize of $30,000. In between rounds, I had some time to explore the convention center, and this was the highest density of competitive Magic players I had ever seen. Everyone was talking about Grief, Subtlety, and Ragavan. In addition to day 2 of the regional championship, there's also my Modern 10K, a Standard 5K, and another Modern 5K, all happening at the same time. I mean, the place was freaking packed. I had to take my sweatshirt off 2 hours in because I was starting to overheat. I even saw some Pro Tour veterans like Matt Nass, Luis Scott Vargas, and Sam Pardee. And then there were all these vendors selling tens of thousands of dollars worth of Magic cards. All in all, this coalesced into a nexus of high-level Magic, gaming supplies, and good old-fashioned fun. As for me, my 10K went better than my RC. I went 4-4, but this was not good enough to make top 32. So I would be walking away with no prize money, no invite to Dallas, no nothing. This weekend was a humbling reminder of how hard it is to qualify for the Pro Tour, let alone be a top competitor within it. Now, it was time for me to go home, regroup, and figure out what the next step on my adventure would be.